You don't need to be in New York to make in finance. You don't need to be in San Fran to make in tech. You don't need to be in Paris to make in fashion. I have a very good artist that I'm absolutely passionate about. She's from India. She's 15 years old. She's self-taught. We flew her to Amsterdam to give a keynote. First time ever she was on stage talking to major brands about her work. 15 years old, dude, from like somewhere in India, and now she's having like a word stage to talk about how she's transformed her life. You can literally make it financially, regardless where in the planet you are.
Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, where I bring you the best and the brightest in the world of business, marketing, and personal growth to help you harness your inner tenacity and drive your career forward. My guest today on the podcast is Diego Borgo. Diego is a Web3 and Metaverse advisor, leading Fortune 500 brands into Web3 and the Metaverse space. With over a decade of expertise in digital marketing and branding and over 6 years of blockchain experience, Diego guides brands through the rapidly evolving digital Wild West that is Web3 by helping them to drive commercial value and customer engagement. And he's worked with massive global brands that Adidas, Prada, G-Star, Salesforce, Unilever, L'Oreal, MasterCard, and more, just to name a few. And I'm excited to kick this one off. And I'm also excited to have my Immutable Mindset co-host, Kevin Logan Jr. in the house as my co-pilot. So let's do it. Diego, welcome to the podcast.
What is up?
I'm stoked. What an intro, man. What an intro.
I always say that it feels like we're driving in a caddy somewhere.
It is.
It is.
Sometimes Kevin drives, sometimes I drive, but we're all going in the right direction here. And first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for joining Kevin and I on the show today. As I mentioned in our debriefing before we hit record, you've been someone in this space that we have both looked up to for a long time, doing it the right way and leading by example. And we're excited to have this conversation today.
Thank you. It means a lot to me, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Good stuff. So let's just jump into it. And you have an extensive resume, and I want to talk a little bit about your pre-Web3 experience. We'll call it Web 2 days before you got into it. And you were working on the agency side, right? Let's talk a little bit about what you were working on before this Wild West came about, this rodeo.
Yeah, let's go. Let's rewind quite a bit, right? So the year is 2007. I'm 16 years old, 2000. And I get to my first job, which is the agency side. And the agency I started working with basically was helping major brands already. So think of Samsung, Warner Bros, Microsoft, Xbox.
Is this in Brazil?
This is in Brazil, yes.
Okay.
And Red Bull, companies on that level. And we were helping them to strategize their entry within the gaming industry. I'm talking 2007. So the console is sitting in the basement, not in the living room. Gaming is for nerds. Esports
wasn't mainstream.
Is a waste of time. And we are trying to help those brands understand what is the value for them. Sounds familiar? That's how it started.
It's funny how everything old is new again, right? Everything is old. But when did you realize that your superpower was that ability to really listen and understand the essence of a brand, the consumers, and make that connection?
Yeah, so that agency helped me to connect the two, sort of keep a fresh eye for what's next from a culture perspective, and also have a very good understanding on marketing, digital strategies, and branding. So I went on to do my university and MBA on that side. Finished when I was 24, and I was like, okay, ready to go. I don't need to show fucking diplomas around anymore. I ticked that box. Now we're gonna get serious about building, about getting involved, about sort of going out there and getting hands-on. So from 24, so basically 10 years now, all I've done was hands-on, right? Because I built the safety net of having the diploma on the wall. And from there on, I was like, I just gonna get hands-on and building these different spaces, right? You fast forward to 2014 was when I heard about Bitcoin the first time. So
did you invest?
Yeah, listen up. I'm talking to this guy. Picture a maxi, proper maxi.
Yeah.
Talking to me about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's gonna take over the world. We're gonna get the financial systems down. It's like a different way on which we can take over the governments and break out of the matrix. And I'm like, I hear you, but it's not necessarily something that I want to get involved. So
does he also live in a forest by himself?
So one thing that I learned back there is listen or try to see through the actual product, not the messenger, right? And I just passed on that, obviously. Fast forward to 2017, I have a good friend that works at Microsoft on the sort of like cloud computing side of things, Azure.
Right.
And he's talking about the technology, right? The guy talks about no coins, nothing, just technology. So that's what we can do with supply chain. That's what you can do for database. That's why the decentralized or public ledgers are important. Those are the use case. Oh, do you know what IoT stands for? That's where blockchain can play a big role in. And I was like, holy shit, now things start getting more interesting, right?
Right. So the matrix in your head is starting to come together, like the puzzle above your head. It's like the cloud, right?
Exactly. So now things start to make more sense. And then I start digging into different projects, right? So this is what, mid 2017, I started getting deep into, buying some coins here and there just because I sort of like found the project, wanted to be involved in the community. And then I became a victim of the ICOs, right? So you fast forward to end of Feb to 2018, ICOs happen. All the coins that I deeply believe in, all the projects happen to be a rug. Yep. And I learned my first, lesson in crypto back there.
Well, let's pause on that one for a second here, because I come from the agency world too. I spent the first 15 years of my career working in account management and strategy on the digital side. I've seen brand evolutions and connecting, and I think a lot of those fundamentals are true. But what do you think is one of those core fundamentals from those days that we could apply now? Right. When we talk about what is old is new again, some of those fundamental marketing strategies that the winners that are still winning and didn't get burned down in the forest fire are doing well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I love looking at the past to predict the future, right? And culture is something that is not necessarily linear, but you can sort of like see where it's heading, right? It's difficult to understand how long it's going to take to go mainstream, but there is some patterns that you can look at, right? And I think that the wave we've been riding on the sort of like deep degen side of things, of NFTs, especially within 2020, 2021, and half of 2022, has shown us the tip of the iceberg, right? Obviously, that side of the technology, which is deeply connected with culture, has displayed many different things, right? There's many different wrong things with it, but there's also many things that are interesting, right? So if you look, for example, at how brands can get closer to customers, right? So if you look what happened in NFTs and what happened back already, in 17 and before is the same motto of, if you find something exciting that is beyond product, that's beyond commerciality, that you can get, people excited about, and you can sort of like build a community around, that's where you start fostering and building brand, for example.
Something that's kind of been, we go back to this, whatever is old is new again. What I've been observing, I'd love your thoughts on this. Whenever there's a movement, it starts with the culture, with the artists, with the music, right? I mean, we're seeing that again, right? We're seeing that again, and that's how it really kicked up in this space. And I think, I hate to say that.
No, you're right. It feels like a renaissance. You're talking about a renaissance.
NFTs are a dirty word, but that's what kind of got everyone's eyes open.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your personal experience with the NFT side of Web3? What was your first taste? Talked about coins.
Yeah, good one. So the very first NFT I bought was basically a land on sandbox. I found the concept of digital land ownership very intriguing. Very difficult for me to grasp why something that is unlimited should be limited. Especially when it comes to land. So I really wanted to sort of like go deeper into that and start like, playing around. So that was the first thing. I entered from a very different angle, which was land. And then from there, obviously, I got into the PFPs and the communities and the passes and, the different collectibles and different things. But my entry point was into that.
It's a good entry point to talk about the metaverse. I'd love your perspective on, in the last, we'll call it, 4 years, your first initial vision of the metaverse, where you thought it was in your head, the point now where you're a thought leader in this space and you have access to the real alpha, what's going on, that's happening there. How has your perspective changed, and what are your thoughts on the future of the metaverse? Are we still way too early stage in this, or is this shit real, or is it not going to happen?
Yeah. Again, we go back to the past, right? So the simple way of looking at the metaverse, immersive experiences, virtual worlds, whatever the fuck you want to call it, because a lot of people want to have the right term that they have, get really passionate about. It doesn't matter, but whatever you want to call it that makes you happy, or whatever you hate, that's, let's get that. So if you think about that, the metaverse is nothing else than an expansion or an evolution of how we connect digitally as humans and as a species. That's where you can break all the complexity out and take all the complexity away, right? And what I mean by that is, how were we connecting at the beginning of the internet? We were in chat rooms, we were in ICQ, we were in MSN Messengers. Everything was basically
chat rooms, man.
Chat rooms, right? Everything was basically typing, text. That was the V1, let's call, on how we connected digitally at scale. That V1 evolved to V2, which now is we added voice and video to that, right? So we have text, we have voice, and we have video, and then we have Zoom, we have Teams, we have experience like we are having right now. We have calls on WhatsApp and all of that, right? Now, what's happening is we're going to the V3 version of that, which will have still text, we will have video and voice, and we are adding another part to that, another technology to that stack, which is virtual worlds, which is metaverse, which is immersive experience. So instead of you just being represented by yourself on a video cam like we are doing right now, you could, because it's an extension, it's not a replacement, you could be represented by an avatar in a virtual world, and we could be sitting around the table. And that, for some, or at scale, we will see how the technology develops, might be a way on which we will be interacting moving forward digitally. My face might be still on top of my head here. You can see my face, you can hear my voice, but I am an avatar within that room with you, right? And that opens up a ginormous amount of opportunities, because if you simply look into gaming and how people can interact in platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, that are gaming platforms, and how that has been really attractive, especially for the sort of like the next generation, because there's a whole new world, that you can explore and be in touch with. That's what I'm betting a lot. That's going to be the future on how we connect digitally instead of us spending time on a camera like that.
It's so interesting. And this is kind of a thought that's been going through my head a little bit as I get older and older, that, like, I hate to say this, but like, we're the old men now, right? We're not the kids. We're not the kids. And I look at my two kids. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. Kevin's got two little ones too, and they are screen first. They didn't grow up like us. I grew up with an analog. I learned how to type on a fucking typewriter. Seriously, like an actual. And we didn't have what they have. And we have different perspectives and viewpoints. And how do we, as the, I don't want to use the word gatekeepers, but we're the ones helping to define and build it. How do we ensure that we stay close to the to the demographic that's actually going to move the needle, in my opinion?
Well, I agree, and that's why it's really important to sort of like build experiences that they want to have. We say, oh yeah, the metaverse
versus
is
we want to have, right? Like versus right, like
100%.
How do we? And that's where our brand marketing. That's why people like us who actually have those skill sets need to always think about the customer and the audience first versus us, right?
100%. Because people are like, yeah, the metaverse is dead. There is because nobody's on the central end. Like, yeah, nobody's in the central end because the experience is not great. Oh, but nobody's in Sandbox or nobody's. Yeah, still the experience there is probably not necessarily built for someone that wants to use it or will use. Why people? There is 200 million monthly users in Roblox.
My kids on it all day long. Yeah.
And you guys have older kids than I, because my son is 2.5, so he's not there yet. I'm sure they if they could, they would spend the entire day in front of it, right?
He would be on it right, Kevin? Like all day long.
Yeah, it feels like the issue right now is there's a gulf between brands and their customers, and it's this for Web3 specifically. The reality is we are likely completely different from the 99% of people that are about to jump in Web3. We are still here. So that makes us different. I was through the ICO crash. I've been through DeFi summer 2020. I've been through the NFT summer, winter, and everything that has happened up till now with all our JPEGs that have been losing value. And so here's the issue. The issue is two things. Number one, Brands want to own the experience between them and their consumer. The reality is right now, there's not a really good solution that allows them to custody the NFT assets, which allows them to provide experiences like token gating, like the loyalty things that you're mentioning. Right now, you have Web 2 playing Web 3, like Odyssey, like Starbucks Odyssey. That's more like yes, it uses a Web 3 solution, but the tech behind it is really Web 2. Mm-hmm. So I think, in order for brands and customers to realize this next phase, this next exponential brand dichotomy between the two, it has to be that there's a solution where brands have a easy ability to own, operate the NFT experience native on their own platform. There's no friction between them and the customer, between that customer purchasing whatever experience it is that they have, and then the brand being open to custodying that and doing that, right? So I'm just curious, are you seeing that as well? Have you seen any solutions for this? What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I mean, I've been preaching that day and night, right? I think that the main thing I'm speaking right now and saying right now everywhere I go, especially within those sort of like rooms with those big brands. And I was this morning with the Adidas Web3 team, alongside with the loyalty and membership team and a workshop to sort of like look into things like that, right? Like I'm talking to those brands and to those people and to those builders every day, right? And everybody's trying to figure it out. Everybody's saying, and the main takeaway is the playbook that Adidas and Nike created back in December 21, when Adidas did Into the Metaverse and Nike came in and purchased Artifact, was NFTs as an asset class. The playbook is NFTs is the product. You buy, you mint, you sell, you make money from the secondary and so on, right? So the technology in this case is the product. After that, 350 plus brands within the Fortune 500 realm have done something in Web3 very similar to that initial playbook. What I'm trying to do as a wake-up call for those brands right now is that the playbook is dead. All the pages have been used, and I'm talking Fortune 500 brand, right?
We ran the plays and they didn't work. They worked for a little bit and then they're not working anymore. They worked for a
little bit. There were iterations, cool.
Well, they work because they were new, right? Did they work because they were new and we haven't tried those plays yet, right? The first time 100%. You're doing the annexation of Puerto Rico or the RPO, offense, they're going to catch on to it after a bit.
Yeah, and
sorry for the football season's coming up. Looking fantasy football earlier today. Good time. Go Giants.
And it made sense at that Cowboys. Point on time. It made sense because the community is still small. Because they say if you want to look into the NFT native or the Web3 native, you could put that in a stadium, right? We have 1 million active wallets in that space. And I have 8 wallets. I don't know how many wallets you guys have, but I'm sure that it's not 1 million unique users or 1 million people, right? So what I'm trying to say is that playbook is dead for brands. And I'm talking Fortune 500. I'm not talking like Bored Apes and all those projects. They will exist, you believe it or not. That will still moving on because there is a strong culture and niche and demand within the niche. But for major brands that need to build the next 1 billion pillar in revenue, that's that, right? So what I'm trying to help then is exactly what you were saying before, Kevin, is seeing what's next. How do we use Web3 as the enabler, not as the product anymore? So you don't buy NFTs, as you use NFTs to enable better experiences, for example. And how do you start sort of like getting that technology and including that technology within your already existing journeys and products and services?
If I can add to that real quick, Adam. So there's a second piece to that, right? It's the second piece for brands to consider. And it was to my first point, which was about us being different from everybody else. The reality is the other 99% don't want to custody those assets. They don't 100%. Want to own those, right? So the issue for these brands is the reality. Most of these people don't want to own that. They don't want to own that stuff. So that
what do I do with it? How do I keep it safe? What do I do with it?
That's right. I mean, 99% of us right now, like, think about that. Like, do you want owner? Like,
does my mom need to own an NFT?
That we would, right, exactly.
Does she need to know how the sausage is made? No, they just want to have the technology behind it that's going to enable the experience.
Yeah, exactly. So how far do you think how close or how far are we from the tech just being in the background and you just having an experience and you have no idea it has anything to do with NFTs?
I don't think we're that far yet. I don't think we're that far. And what I mean by that is because I speak with tech builders every day because they want to understand what the Fortune 500 brands want. And I speak with the Fortune 500 brands every day because they want to understand what the tech builders are building, right? So it's sort of like I live in that in-between space.
But that's a brilliant place to live in. You both of your ears are working.
And I'm trying to help them by connecting and transferring intel between
You're
them.
The conduit.
Right?
You're the conduit.
100%. So the more I see the needs from Fortune 500 and the more I see the tech that's being provided, the more I see the gap, right? There are companies building it 100%. There are solutions out there 100%. I work with some. We could talk about that if you want. It's not a shield. It's just an example, right? So that's kind of like the way I'm looking at that. So I think that gap's still pretty big. And the main the main factor that you touched as well, Kevin, on which is extremely important on the why is the friction. Right? How fucking hard it is to get a digital wallet set up, right? It's extremely difficult.
I don't want to have to pull up my bank account on a separate tab so that I can pay for this NFT on your platform.
That's adding more steps.
It's so much friction.
It's so much friction. And on top of friction for the user, there is friction for the brand. Because, from May to November, back in 21, when we were working on building into the metaverse to launch with Adidas, from May to November, majority of the time that we spent there was talking to legal, treasury, and corporate. How the fuck we get through this without getting in trouble?
But it was uncharted territory also for them because you have these big companies that need to protect themselves and do their due diligence to protect the shareholders and protect, liability and fraud and scams and everything. Hey, everybody, I want to talk about a product and platform that I absolutely love and our latest sponsor, Interseller, the prospecting and outreach platform of choice for recruiters and sellers. Whether you're doubling down on business development or recruiting talent, Interseller does all the heavy lifting of finding contact data, automating the email and follow-up process, and syncs all that rich data into 20-plus CRM and ATS platforms. Reach out now and get going on a 2-week free trial and let them know you heard about it from Adam on the podcast today. Check out the link on the website. Appreciate it. I mean, so many different places to go, but you did make an offer before. I'm going to cash it in right now. As much as you can within the realms of your NDAs and everything, let's talk about what's this killer app going to be? Who's working on the next level shit that's really going to get us to where we need to go? What are you seeing out there?
I'm really excited about finding one use case, doubling down on that, and then getting people's attention on that use case, so everybody's excited about it, and then we go and build the second one, right? So all my time now is being spent in loyalty and membership and engagement, right? So how do you leverage Web3 technology to solve problems and to tackle into opportunities that Web2 technology is not able to? So we are not going technology first, we are going problem and opportunity first, and then you deploy the tech on that. And that starts with engagement. One of the major problems that all brands have is engagement, right? Especially when it comes to membership and loyalty. So the average American is within 16 different membership and loyalty program. That's a BCG report. Is not the Pinky Beanie Man making shit up.
No, if you look at even your television consumption, how many freaking accounts and subscriptions you have alone, not counting your retail, your gyms, and all the other shopping shit that you do.
100%. So what is the problem there when there's so many, there is little engagement because there is too many. And then the second problem is that all that stuff is transactional. Get a free juice, get 10% off, get 2 cents off. It's all transactional. So it's like, you're not really creating a great brand experience. You're not giving me something unique.
But does it always have to? But does it always have to? I mean, if I go to the gas station, I'm using mobile, right? And if I'm keeping that loyalty, but I know I'm getting 2 cents off a gallon and somehow it's tied with blockchain in the background, I don't give a shit. It's transactional, but it's okay. But it's loyalty also.
But what if it's not transactional and you can get really dope experience based on your behavior?
So I'm setting this one up for you to go. Yeah, let's go.
And it helps you build community around your idea, which now you have just people interacting with each other about your brand. How cool would that be?
But some brands don't need that because they are transactional brands. Like Mobile Gas for me is a transactional brand. There's no.
Well, I'm working with Shell right now, and I can tell you that they want to do things that are not necessarily transactional.
So please, set up my brand 2 thinking with Web3 forward thinking, and I'd love to hear. Let's use that as an example. Gas stations, right?
99% of that money is made in the mart.
In the mart, so you want to keep the loyalty, right? Gas stations in the gas station model. Right? It's not, they make pennies off of the gallon, right? It's about driving into the convenience store. And that's why they're so robust these days and pour all the money into it, right?
Yes, sir. So just to rewind a little bit on your initial question, and then we're going to build on top of that. with exactly the use case you were asking me to talk about.
Let's go deep.
The third thing within that sort of like loyalty problem or membership problem we have is siloed approach. It's closed ecosystems. If you're part of the membership, the McDonald's membership program, the only brand you get to engage with really is McDonald's. Maybe there's a Coke promotion. Maybe there's
an entertainment. There's an entertainment promotion going on or something.
Maybe, right. But it's not scalable, right?
Correct.
Which means there's less engagement because I just go there to do stuff with McDonald's, right? So maybe I don't want to just do stuff with McDonald's, which means why they are not able to scale that, right? Why they cannot like tap into their big pool of partners. Because partnership is hard. Scaling partnership is hard. And the main problem with partnerships, and that's again, BCG report, not a picky beating man making shit up, is that data integration is the problem, right? In Europe, we have GDPR. I live here, so that's the rules we run under. I know in California, you've got something similar, but not in all the US. And you also have the data integration is the problem because ideally, in a ideal scenario, what you want to do is you as a user, you go through a certain journey within a brand website. That journey brings you to another brand's website. And there you land and you start the experience from where you finished on the other website. You don't need to do all the logins and so on. But without you, brand, giving personal information to the other brand to provide that integration, there is no way to have that journey. What Web3 now enables is exactly that, because of smart content integration, because APIs, because of composability, and so on, right?
Continuity.
So that's where it becomes exciting. So now that we landed into that situation and dog, now think about a energy company or a petrol station company, as you refer to. What is the play for them, right? Those brands have hundreds, if not thousands of partners that they could do stuff with. PCG is huge, right? They also have CPG is huge.
Right.
They also have automotive partners. For example, Shell has Ferrari. Who in their mind
they
of
sponsor
motor
F1
love,
racing, right?
Exactly. Who in their petrol head love wouldn't like to have an exclusive experience from Ferrari? Wouldn't be interested in having access to that, right?
They could learn from the Porsche fail, right? I was there. I saw it. I have the little Porsche. I have the little Matchbox car.
Yeah,
thank you for under-delivering, over-promising.
I think I saw that too.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. And the one that I keep going back to in my head is airlines. And this is like my crazy thought, right? Like you buy like the transferability, like you can't just buy a ticket and transfer to somebody like a concert, right? You can't. There's a lot of security around the airlines. I think that's what's kind of cock blocking. Did you say that? Right? That's blocking, right? That's blocking the whole deal. And I have this thought in my head. I'm like, the next level of airlines where you could transfer tickets between people if you can't go, and people are starting to use it as a commodity, like on hot routes, right? Imagine that. Like, think about airlines, if they could sell out and then it's secondary market for tickets. And any hot takes on that, on my take?
I want to go way beyond than that.
Go. Space travel. Let's go.
Right? Because obviously we can look at NFTs as a ticket, but what if we start looking at NFTs as a token, and we start looking at tokens as smart tokens, right? As tokens that can...
The most programmable contract on earth.
Preach, Kevin.
Preach. You know it. You know it. I know exactly where you're going. Please continue. I like it.
Keep going.
Right? So now you've purchased your ticket to go on vacation. And, once you would land on a certain destination, maybe because your flight has got delayed, everything else that you've booked throughout that token, let's say your hotel, the car you've rented, and so on, are notified and can take actions to change that overall ecosystem forward, right? So once you've landed there, because the ticket was the plane was delayed, now your car has adapted to schedule to be at a pickup. Your hotel now has changed because of that.
Yep.
So everything has that element of self actionable points that happen afterwards based on a certain exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what is amazing. And to your point before, who is building, that killer app or that killer use case? A company that I'm working with is very deep into that space since 2017, trying to build a use case, right? So that's where I'm like really bullish on, because I'm seeing those things being built. I'm seeing the use case. I'm seeing the tech, and I'm witnessing, the build of all those things that we think it should be happening every day, which is exciting. Now we need to keep building use case on top of it to demonstrate to everybody else that now V2 playbook exists. That now it's more than just apes on chain or rug pulls, right?
Let's move it. Time to hit the gas. Kev.
Oh, I don't, I don't want to like steer this in a whole different direction, but like what you're talking about, I start to think about have you seen the Auto GPT with the AI agents, right? So then I
know where you're going now.
So then I start to think about that, and wow, do things get really interesting? Have you seen the Auto GPT play out where the agents go and just create to a website and oh my gosh.
So it's really taking the action to get to like, all right, I'm going to rebook you. I'm going to do this step. I got this following the if then or logic to get you to where you need to go.
Yeah.
That's
you know what's exciting there for crypto and blockchain? Every agent will need to pay for goods digitally.
That's right.
And in an internet that will be tokenized, because that's what Web3 is about. Banks will not be the ones providing bank account for agents to pay for stuff digitally. That's going to be crypto wallets. That's going to be cryptocurrencies. I'm not saying Bitcoin. I'm not saying Ethereum. I'm not saying Solana. I'm not saying show my bag below. I'm saying cryptocurrencies as a concept. Whether that's 100%. The digital dollar or whatever, if you like CBDCs or not, that's a different conversation.
Can I say one more?
It will be the way that's going to happen.
Yeah,
it is my belief, Diego, that there will be Amazon coin, Microsoft coin, Nike coin, Adidas coin. Every
Delta
brand
coin
is going to have their own stable coin so that they can own the experience with their customer in a way that they never have. And it will not go through banks. It's just going to go through brands.
Well, let's talk about a real hot take. PayPal just announced the other day, right? Their coin's coming out there too, right? We talk about the PayPal coin, and that's really Web 2, Web 3 integration, right? I mean, they've been at the forefront of this. What's the downside?
Well, the downside.
Let's talk about fears and threats to moving the ball forward.
People that are light years smarter than I have gone down that rabbit hole from a tech perspective and highlighted already that it's fully centralized in many ways, right? They have rights of freezing accounts. They have rights of stopping transactions.
Database control.
Right? So there's a lot of things there that we may not agree with as Web3 maxis as we are. Point is though, exactly what Kevin said before, 99% of the population on this planet won't care about self-custody, right? So what does that mean is that we're pushing Web3 forward, not necessarily the Web3 we dreamed of or the Web3 that we want to experience fully decentralized, but one thing doesn't excludes the other. We are making it easier for people to get into the space, and maybe, that's going to help our ecosystem to develop as well on the other side, which is the more decentralized side of things.
I love it. And we could literally sit here for hours and hours. And I hope everyone at home listening is really enjoying this conversation. And, I'll tell you where to connect with Diego afterwards to go deep. But there's some things I want to touch on while we have our time together here. And you're a citizen of the world, man. You're traveling in Portugal right now, from Brazil. But I want to talk about some of your favorite in real life experiences over the last couple of years of connecting communities and people. What are some things that have shined to you in your travels, some experiences?
I think that let's start from the other side. I went to like NFT NYC expecting something like really cool. This year? Last year? I don't know which year we are in, bro. I have no idea which year we are in.
This year could go to hell.
The last one. Let's call it last one.
I'm just going to stay. I wish I could stay in 2022. Believe me. I wish I could stay back there.
And I was really disappointed. I was like, oh my God, like, is this the representation of our industry? Like, I don't want to be part of it. Right? Like, that's what it is. And then I went to Art Basel Miami in December, and that was really dope. I was like, okay, we got the creatives here, we got art,
man. We got was there.
We got the brands, we got the artists, we got the communities. I was sitting on a table that we had like, photographers that were never making money now being able to capitalize on their work. I was sitting on the table with like major Fortune 50 brand leader trying to understand and learn from them. The mayor of Miami was
Suarez
there.
Ready for president now,
right? Yep. I was.
He's our first jacked president, by the way. If he was president, that dude's jacked.
Well, yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, I was thinking about Schwarzenegger, but he obviously was never president, just governor. So that doesn't count.
Be. Yep.
Keith from Back on Time, he was there, right? On Time magazine back in the day. So like that was really exciting to see, like getting those people together and everybody to sort of like Red Pill in the best sense of the word, everybody else and everybody open to learn, and regardless of which company you're coming from and how
Basil for sure.
how traditional that might be. Like, that was really exciting for me to see. One thing that I'm missing, and that's my fault, I want to go to places that a lot of people from my community especially are in, right? Like, dude, Africa, Nigeria, there's so much going on there. India, there's so much going on there. And
Especially
why I'm excited about, why I'm excited about those places, Vietnam, Philippines, is because what's happening right now at scale, that Web3 will also provide, in a manner differently than what Web2 provides, is the decentralization of opportunities, which is amazing.
The decentralization of opportunities.
You don't need to be in New York to make in finance. You don't need to be in San Fran to make in tech. You don't need to be anywhere in Paris to make in fashion. Now, making in this sense is not just fame anymore, or being in the right museum at the right time. Like, you can literally make it financially, regardless where in the planet you are. I have a very good artist that I'm like absolutely passionate about. She's from India. She's 15 years old. She's self-taught AI, Gen I, art creation and so on. And she's been like changing her community, talking to her school, talking to local radios. We flew her to Amsterdam to give a keynote. First time ever she was on stage talking to major brands about her work. 15 years old, dude, from like somewhere in India, and now she's having like a word stage to talk about how she's transformed her life and how she can help how this technology can potentially help transforming other people's life.
Kevin, you have a thought there?
Yeah, it's not, I feel like, right? I think the big reality is this technology right now is so much more valuable outside of Western society, Western culture, 100%. Than it is for Western culture, right?
Correct.
So the decentralization, right? In Nigeria, the reason why it's so heavily utilized is because your bank will literally take the dollars out of your account so that they can enrich the government. The reason why it's so valuable in Argentina is because the inflation rate's over 100%. So the tenets of decentralization and hard money make sense to folks where, like, literally it saves you're able to eat bread that day when you wouldn't have been able to before, because because you didn't have to wait 10 days for Western Union to send you your money, of which they took $400 that you need. But it makes so much sense to the outside world, not to us. And I think that's just a huge piece of it right now that we're starting to work through.
I love your take there. And sorry, Adam, just need to jump in here.
Please,
because I have a personal experience on that. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, like, why would I go into this world of cryptocurrencies? I'm happy with my bank. My bank never created any troubles. Everything's fine. The government here will never do it. I'm like, it will never, because it never happened to you. My parents literally, my parents got everything confiscated back on the day because of the dictatorship that was running in Brazil. And out of one day to another, they had nothing anymore, right? Nothing. And once you realize that there is entities that have the power to do that over people that are close to you and within your family, then you're like, oh shit, I understand why it makes sense. Look what happens in Canada throughout COVID and all that with the truck drivers, right? They were just freezing bank accounts left and right, right? I'm not going into the political discussion of that, but it happened, right? So it can happen again. And wasn't with you or nobody close to you, but maybe next time it may. So what if we have a second fallback solution just in case in the pocket for us to use?
That's a big one there. Going back to Basil for a moment there. Again, you're seeing all these incredible brands, creators, artists. What's your dream collab, right? If you were playing like fantasy Web3 sports, right, and you're going to put these two brands together, or an artist and a brand, what would you love to see?
My dream collab didn't happen. So I can also say that already.
Hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't. Sorry.
Throw it out to the universe, man. Has not happened yet, or will never happen?
Well, it could have happened, and I could have made a play on that, and it didn't happen. I'm very frustrated because it didn't, because it was perfect.
We need to know.
So go back.
Motherfucker better tell us. I'm shutting this podcast off. Right?
If you want to hear the story, go to my podcast.
No, go to Diego's podcast. So that's an interesting one. Continuity. Yeah. Peace out. Find us on the Immutable Mindset. Bye-bye.
And that's how you create demand.
All the sound effects. Right, okay, what is it? Okay.
First, we go for a break for our commercial and partners.
This show is sponsored by Okay.
October 2021.
Ooh.
I mean, I still at Adidas. My good friend back there, the guy that sort of like started everything and red pilled me into the space, joined a call. And the other side of the call, as a surprise, is Mr. Beeple himself.
What?
Nice.
And Fig and other people from 10KTF. And we were chatting through the ideas of how we could collaborate and what could we do and whatsoever. Dude, like the plans were so sleek. There were so many cool ideas to come through. And a lot of stuff that you've seen coming after from other brands partnering with them. We were talking about that like in October 21. And that's my favorite project by far within our space. I love the storytelling. I love how they took, that thing to a next level. I love the hints and everybody's on Discords with trying to check with magnifiers what this message means and all these conspiracies behind it. Dude, I love it. And for me, that would have been a dream coming true. Like we if Adidas would have done something with 10KTF back there.
Okay, what about you? What's your dream collab?
Did you say me?
Yeah.
What's my dream collab? Oh my god. Oof. Oh, that's easy. Well, I'm a sneakerhead. I love sneakers. We had the opportunity to work with the team. I'm going to say Artifact. Honestly, you know what I love about Artifact? I love Artifact creators. I love that they have absolutely mobilized their community, and their community makes some of the greatest creations that are in Web3. I don't know if you've seen any of this, Diego, but they have this creator program where, I mean, it's just people with their own time. They just love the community, love the story, love the lore. And like you said, it's about that experience, and it's brought them in and it's immersed them. And the way they evangelize that brand, the way that they're going to stay loyal to the end, it's because Artifact and Nike did a fantastic job building a narrative for these people to run with on their own. And now they are. And now it's so amazing, these things they're creating.
I love it.
I dig it.
I haven't checked in for a very long time, so now you got me interested.
AR, especially with Apple's new Vision Pro, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Apple, what's your hot take on Apple, man? Are they just sitting and wait right now? I know you got some inside info. What's Apple working on there? Those motherfuckers just hang tight and wait for everyone else to fuck shit up.
Well, I think their goggles already coming crystal clear what the direction is at.
A little expensive.
Yeah.
But so were flat screen TVs when they came out, right?
Yes, sir. I think first you got the ones that definitely are die-hard fans and will give a lot of feedback and devs and all of that. And then after you make the gadget more accessible, more useful. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see, because whenever they play, the industry changes. And I think that, especially sort of like XR on that sense, it's gonna change a lot. A lot of people will start realizing that the metaverse is much more than the central and the sandbox.
Yep.
We could talk for hours here, but I want to bring this home. There's been a fantastic conversation, and we're going to continue this. We'll talk about doing some live Twitter shows and some LinkedIn stuff as well to go deeper. For any topics that you guys listening at home are into, we'll connect, and we could do some crowdsourcing. What resonated with you guys, and we'll set up some live streams afterwards. Hopefully get some time from Diego. Diego, how do you stay in touch with the trends in the news? What's your alpha? What are you shooting into your veins, man?
I mean,
you are the alpha. How does the alpha get the alpha?
I talk to people. every day.
So it's access. You have the access, and your ears are open, and people listen to you.
Yeah, I get. The main motive why I love this industry is because there is not a single day that goes by that someone doesn't blow my mind with something that they're doing, building, or thinking of. There's every single day, and especially on the space I am at, that I have like a sort of like a big light on me, sort of like expecting what I have to say next. Oh, okay, Dickhead, the NFTs are dead, and you had a PFP all the time, and that's all you're talking about. So now what is next? And then I'm ready to talk, and people are like, oh, okay, fine, because I keep myself on the toes talking to everybody every day.
That's right.
And going back to what you said before, for me, the brightest spot for me are the young creators out there. I'm deeply connected with Nyla Hayes, a 14-year-old creator, Long Neck Ladies, nice. The work that's happening to onboard. I work with Miss Old Cool Girls Project, a project whose core mission is to onboard young girls and teens into Web3 the right way, teach them how to set up a wallet, teach them about online security, and give them. I want my kids to be way ahead of all the other fucking kids out there. I want my kids to have every advantage out there, and I'm going to make sure that they have it out there. What is that when your kid is able? Like, what are you going to put in their hands? Like, what's the first thing?
A skateboard and a surfboard.
Nice.
Get outside.
We live by the beach, man.
Oh yeah.
I skate with him
Me too,
already.
man.
I drop in balls with him on my lap, and he's wearing his helmet. And
man, I love
we're
it.
jamming. That's the first thing. And then secondly, I want to give him freedom through technology. You know, the lifestyle I've been able to build and the life I have today is thanks to this space, is thanks to this technology, is thanks to everything that's happening within the space. So I wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be that. You know, it's not that I was born with what I have. I earned that through hard work, and I want to teach him that too.
I love it. It's three fathers here today. Three forward-thinking fathers who want to. For me, and I say it all the time, my legacy, I want to leave this planet a better place than I found it by empowering my kids to be much better than me in every way possible. And I applaud Kevin and I applaud you for doing it. Diego, let's wrap it home here. I ask every guest on the show, what is the single greatest piece of advice that you've ever received that you take action on every single day? A mantra, something you wake up feeling, something you repeat in your head, something you say to your kid and your family.
I wouldn't say receive that. I'd say realize that. And
That works.
and the simplest thing I can think of that I think every day, and I don't force it, is just what I sort of like input into my DNA, is never be a dick. Right? So like you never know who you will engage with in the future. And whatever type of engagement you had with them in the past will dictate the way they're going to treat you in the future. And you never know. You never know. Maybe today you're on the top. Maybe tomorrow you're down. Regardless of the position you are at, just be nice. You don't know what people are going through. It's a crazy world out there. And that has shown to me more and more, especially right now that I get an exposure, a ginormous amount of exposure to people, like people that I've met 5-10 years ago, just reaching out, and they're running companies now. They're CEOs, CMOs, whatever, and they want to work with me because they like who I are.
Especially in Web3. My gosh.
Especially in Web3.
Especially.
All the people that are left here, there's somebody's building and they're influential. So best be careful who you're talking to and how you're talking to.
Be nice.
And right. And like we're seeing it more and more. I'm done with the Cool Kids Club. I really am. And I'm not going to go off on a tangent here because I'm wrapping it off. I'll continue my rant on Twitter. But the Cool Kids Club, I'm done with the Cool Kids Club. It's not cool.
Yeah. Bro, come to LinkedIn. Come to LinkedIn. Yeah. We're building a very cool community there. I've done that. I know it sounds boring. I know it sounds
some of it is the good ones.
It's giving me all I got in the space right now, because people there are interested in learning. People there are interested in building. There is no drama. There is no all that bullshit we see on Twitter every day. There is no like, JPEG's down, so we need to find some beef to fill in the time because we're bored. No, people are building. People are thinking about getting better, working harder, making shit happen.
Kevin, any final thoughts before I bring it home?
Yeah, no, just on that end, and I'll leave it there because I know you're wrapping up. Just, that you nailed on the head. When I went to Twitter a year ago, I loved it because it felt not the wag me. I hate the wag me, but it felt like everybody was like in the same sphere. But over time, I was like, oh no, this is just a bunch of complaining people that are tribal, that are protecting their bags. But like you said, on LinkedIn, there's still a lot of curious people that are so brand new to this space that it's a joy to build community over there. So I'm 100% there with you.
I love it, man. The good vibes, good people. So let's bring it home here, man. Like, listen, you think about your life, the trials, the tribulations, going back to your parents, getting everything freaking taken them from a dictator, how those actions in your life has formed who you are today. You look back on that, you build the resiliency, and you have the tenacity to pull yourself forward when you've been down. Diego Borgo, right now, at this moment of your life, what is your focus? What is your compass? What is your North Star?
Simply getting better as a human every day. I want to be the best mirror I can to my son. That's what it's about.
Hell yeah.
I love it, man. Guys, this has been awesome. I love the conversation. We could do this all day long, but I know the 44-minute mark is when my audience is like, wait a minute, I got to go return some videotapes. No, but I love it out there. Diego, where can folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is where I create most of my content. So Diego Borgo, Diego Borgo on LinkedIn.
Get that one right.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Haven't been spelling this for a long time. And Twitter, Don Borgo with our underscore between. So Don_Borgo. That's where I'm up. And dude, I don't know when this is going to go live, but I just launched a newsletter today. And so if people are interested, I'm going to give you the link. You can put in the show notes.
Yeah,
I just launched that. Man. That's the place where I'm going to share everything I'm learning, all my experiences. If you want the alpha, that's what's going to be the alpha.
Get involved. And that's how we do it here, folks. That's how we do it here on the podcast. I want to thank my co-host, Kevin. I want to thank Diego Borgo. I want to thank everybody at home for tuning into this one. You know where to find out more at thepodcast.com. Follow us on all the social media channels. If this show resonated with you, leave a review, rating. It goes a long way. Remember, be good to yourself, be better to others, and catch us next week for another great episode of the podcast. Take care, everybody.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon, jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search The Podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.